Welcome to She Loves the Grid, where we discuss all things F1. All right, here we are. I can't believe it's episode 3 for She Loves the Grid.
Season 2, episode 3.
Season 2, episode 3. Yes, that's right. Okay, and I am Claire, back in Germany.
Yay!
As of just a few hours ago.
Yeah. Talk about a quick turnaround. I'm like, we're still going to record today, right? But you had a nice couple weeks in Florida, so
yeah, I had a nice couple weeks with my son and all that, so that was good. But yeah, that was good.
Good.
Yeah, let's get going on this. And we're recording on a Monday because it's not race weekend yet. We're getting close, but all right, here we go. So where do we start, Diane? Where do we start?
Let's do the liveries. Let's just start with that. So last week, the last of the teams launched their liveries. I feel like, granted, last year I think I was awake for most of the livery launches, and this year they all seem to take place at like 3 a.m. my time, 2 a.m. my time. I was not getting up, and I didn't actually go to the to the team pages, like YouTube pages, to watch. It just didn't feel like there was a lot of like hoopla this year around the launches. So I could be wrong. It just could be what I saw, but it seemed like it was more like, here's a short video, here's our car. So there we have it. So, oh my gosh, had to start with this one. F1 Academy has partnered with Charlotte Tilbury, who's a makeup artist extraordinaire. She's got an incredible makeup line. She is a strong woman-owned business, and I love this partnership. But she has one of the liveries. It's for car number 3, Lola Lovenfossi. Will be driving this car. I love it. The lips all over over that livery.
The colors remind me of the last logo of the stationery store.
Wait, which does? The lips?
The logo, the colors.
Oh, the colors. Yes. I love it. I think that's going to stand out. And I love bringing in like another women-owned business as a sponsor. Incredible. I love Charlotte Tilbury anyways. But yeah, I'm so loving this. I can't wait for the women to start racing. Yeah.
Very good. All right. Next we have what team?
Your team. Aston Martin. What did you think?
I love that we still have our green. I'm literally going to have to look at last year's and this year's side by side to see the difference. The tail looks different to me. The rear wing weather, it looks different. There's a difference in there. I kind of like it though. I do see more black and a little less green, but I like the colors. I like the transition of the colors too.
Yeah, I do too. I really like this car. I think it looks pretty cool, especially from the side. It just looks very sleek. And we should say, if you're listening, go watch us on YouTube because you will see the pictures, see what we're talking about. If not, you can always go to the Aston Martin page and look at their livery photos. But yeah, I like it. I think it looks slick. And also, I think Fernando Alonso had some work done. I'm just going to say that out loud. He looks so young. He always looks good. He looks even better. I have been staring at some of those photos. Like, what is it the hair? Is it less facial hair? Did he have like an upper eyelid thing? Like I want to do, like, what is going, whatever it is, it looks amazing. It looks amazing. It looks like that man just keeps aging backwards, but that's just a side point to the livery.
It's too bad I wasn't prepared for that one. I could have blasted a picture of my Fernando.
My team, Ferrari, Forza Ferrari.
I love that they had so many pictures too.
Yes.
I like this. I have to tell you though, I kind of like that they showed the top and the back. It's a little odd what it does to the number, where the two numbers come together.
Yeah. I love it. So new font they're using, I think it's called Ferrari Sans, is what they're using, the numbers and everything. I love the numbers. They did not do last week. Remember I said there was rumors that it was going to be a lot of red and white to mirror the Le Mans winning car, but they went with yellow and white stripes this year, which I really kind of, when I see it on the car, I like it. And it makes sense, obviously, with their overalls. I think it looks good. According to the simulators, they're also 7/10 of a second faster than last year's car. So kind of hoping that really translates onto the track. I'm really, really excited about this. I think it's beautiful. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful car.
I love that on their Twitter page they showed, I'm sure they did on all their socials, they're like the extras finishing touches they showed of putting the the pinstripes on, and
Yeah,
whatnot. It's pretty cool.
I
Pretty
love
cool.
watching that. Love
All
watching
right.
it.
And then a little bit of
Mercedes.
Mercedes.
Okay, this is another beautiful car. And I think even on
That is
social
great.
media, they launched on Valentine's Day. And I think I said, like, they are showing us the love. Absolutely love that they brought some silver back. They've got the black and then they've got the Patronus green, kind of outlining the nose. This is a gorgeous car. I am
It
not
is.
mad about this at all.
It is. I don't recall the engine part being red last year.
No, you're right. I
really
think it was.
It really pops.
You know what? I didn't even notice that until you just said that right now. I was so focused on the silver and the green. I kind of love it. Good point. So there's a couple. Toto said that they basically changed everything from the chassis to the weight distribution to the airflow. So essentially, all new. Hopefully that will translate on track. The other thing that they did that's a little different, and it is hard to tell, but if you look at their front wing, maybe in that top right picture, the fourth, what do you call that? Like little wing thingy. They have that attached to the nose by what they're calling a legality wire. So it's attached to the nose, which it has to be according to the rules, but like barely. Like with the wire, but it's allowing or like opening up the airflow to get to the side pod inlets as much as possible. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see if like the teams have anything to say about this, if the FIA has anything to say about it, or you know what, you're within the rules. So there you go. So I mentioned last week, I can't wait to see this out on track. Like, yeah,
I kind of hope the car performs so well this year that it gives Lewis a little pause. I mean, like I know he's wanted to drive for Ferrari. I don't blame him for that, but I just think it'd be neat to. It also would love for him to go out leaving Mercedes on a really good year.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
would be really.
Yeah, and we say that, but I think last year didn't he finish right behind Checo?
He did.
See, he finished third in the Drivers' Championship for as much drama as they gave us. God, remember the beginning of last year when it was just like, poor us, we're sorry, we suck so bad. Like, they finished okay. And
yeah, it's so much drama that made me think that we had a bad year, but there wasn't a bad year, actually. Yeah.
No, so like, stop putting that perception out there, Mercedes. Like, you did good. So yeah, I agree with you. I do hope that Lewis finishes strong, and this is a nice car to finish in. I love the little arrows on the back, at the upper back. I love the little silver arrows up there. Love it.
Really cool. Okay. All right, last but not least, or least but not last.
Wow, it looks just like last year. Well, the livery looks just like last year. The car does not. So do you notice one thing that is very interesting on this car? And I was like, are there inlets on that side pod?
I thought that was interesting. It seems, maybe it's just the angle of this picture, but it seems boxier to me.
Yeah. So the inlets on the side pods are vertical. So Adrian Newey is a wizard, and they're vertical to like help with the airflow and the cooling. But this I think is so interesting. So it's being reported that Red Bull is moving to no side pods, a la Mercedes, the last couple of years, and that this car will only be run for testing this week and the first 3 races. By the Japanese Grand Prix, they are going to 0 side pods. I feel like, is this just a giant slap at Mercedes, who could not pull off the no side pods, and they're moving in a different direction now? And Adrian knew he's like, hold my beer. I'm going to create a Red Bull with no side pods, and we're going to be the fastest.
It's like, that sounded like a really neat idea. You couldn't do it. I'll take care of that.
Right.
I'll take
and
care
he
of
probably will, because like I said, he is a wizard. I think I'm going to also start calling him a global treasure. Like, what in the world? Give him a challenge. And we saw pictures of him last year, or maybe it was the year before, standing in front of the Mercedes on the grid. And he probably right then was like, you know how I can make this better? This is how I can make this better. So we'll see. Like, it will also be kind of interesting for them to drive one car for the first 3 races, and then the other 21 races run a completely different, well, maybe not completely, but a car with no side pods. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Could be very, very interesting. I think. On a side note, just going back to some of the drama, Christian Horner is supposed to be in Bahrain for testing and for the first race. It's also been reported widely last week that he was given an out at the end of last year to resign, and he could say it was for health reasons or whatever, to avoid all of this. And he said no. And now here we are.
See, that's kind of interesting, especially that article I read that he's like, while this is distracting, I'm still the best person to lead this team.
No, he has no short of a confidence. I feel like that's always been out there. Always been out there. So who knows?
Really don't think they're too distracting for the team.
Yeah, I think it would be distracting. But I mean, they've weathered all the Helmut Marko baloney. But I don't know. We'll see. I think that it could be distracting. Sorry, my dog's trying to eat a shirt. And he's deaf, so I had to clap. Hang on. There we go. So yeah, I don't know. Who knows how long this investigation could go on? It could be months before anything is decided.
It's going to be the whole season, at least the beginning of the season. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's talk about really quickly some season updates that you got to know about. Some I think are just kind of interesting. And then the last 2 will definitely affect what's happening on the track. So, right to review. Teams in the past have had 14 days to file an appeal for a decision that was made, maybe something that happened on track or after a race, right? So it's something that's already been ruled on. They had 14 days to appeal it. Usually, they had to share that they had new information or relevant information or something that wasn't available the first time they met with the FIA to talk about the ruling. Well, now this year they've changed it. Instead of 14 days, they have 4 days or 96 hours after the ruling. So I wondered, because was it Haas? One of the teams came back a long time after something happened. I wish I could remember. I was trying to rack my brain this morning and think about it, and it didn't really go anywhere. So maybe they're just like, let's stop dragging things out. So now they have 4 days. On top of that, the teams have to pay a deposit to go in front of and have the appeal. If they win, they get the money back. If they don't win, the FIA keeps the money. I could not find anywhere how much they have to give, but so there's that. And then they have to also provide their new information before the hearing. So they can't just come and argue their points. They have to do it beforehand, provide it, and then I guess they can go. I've got questions. Because to me, does it seem like they're just really trying to dissuade the teams from arguing any penalty that the FIA has dished out?
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't want to hear it. Maybe it's because it rarely changes, even when they do these. So they're like, why waste our time? But it also seems like it's very, they're really trying to dissuade the teams from doing that. I thought that was interesting.
6,000 euros.
Oh, 6,000? Oh, that's not bad. I'd be like, here's 6,000. If I really believed in it for sure, I'd be like, nope.
I mean, I'm reading just a summary real quick from the FIAs. I'm assuming that's it. It says subject by 3rd January to an information which it belongs to take part on the Oh, that was a hearing on January 9th. Never mind. Hang on.
I think they did meet in January, though, the end of January, I thought. I mean, 6,000 would not be bad. I guess that wouldn't totally prevent you from, like, if I was Ferrari, I would still have gone to bat for Carlos in Vegas because that was
Yeah.
some bullshit. But
I guess that's the only amount in there that's written in there, but it's got a whole bunch of the changings in there. So that must be what it is.
Okay. That's not too bad. Thank you for finding that. Another thing, which you probably see there, is bigger fines. So before in the International Sporting Code, the most that a team or a driver could be fined was 250,000 euros. Well, they've quadrupled that to 1 million euros. They said, the FAA said they haven't upped the fines or looked at the fines for 10 years. So I guess they're just making up for it. But like, I think it was Yuki last year, especially rookies, which we have 0 rookies this year. How can they afford that? Like maybe the teams, maybe, but my goodness, they're really trying to keep people in line this year by like threatening them with these higher fines. I mean, you're not gonna.
It's going to be tough too. I mean, if it's a driver's fine too, some of these drivers don't make that much.
That's what I'm saying. Like you look at like a Yuki, even Oscar, like some of the newer drivers, Logan. Logan gets $1 million fine. What's that poor guy gonna do? He's gonna go bankrupt. Like I don't know. Ugh. And it's hard. And I don't think that like what constitutes $1 million fine versus something else. I have no idea. So that's the max. That's the max that they're going to get it. We talked about sprint updates last weekend. So if you didn't hear our podcast from last week, go check it out and you'll learn all about the changes that are being made for the sprints. Teams can actually spend more on capital expenditures over a 4-year period. So I kind of love this. So there was a $45 million, so 35 million euros for the rolling 4 years. It's been increased to $65 million or 51 million euros for the 4 teams that finished in the bottom on average since 2020. So Haas, Alfa Romeo, which Alpha Tauri, both have new names. So Stake and the other Red Bull team, and Williams. So they will get more. So that's to use for their facilities, which is awesome because, again, like James Vowles has been very open about how like they don't have a place to cut carbon. They don't have a wind tunnel. So other teams do. They will spend less outsourcing those things. So I love that. The 3 teams that average in the middle of the standings, McLaren, Aston Martin, Alpine, will have an increased cap limit of $58 million or 45 million euros. And then the top 3 teams, Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari, can spend $51 million or 40 million euros over that 4-year period. So again, we talked last year about the cost cap bringing some of those lower teams closer. We had every team got to Q3. There weren't a whole lot of different teams on the podium. There was more than I think the year before. But anyways, bringing that capital expenditure cost cap up, I think is great because you need state-of-the-art facilities to make a state-of-the-art car. So kind of excited.
I like if it was graduated like that before. If so, that's really cool. If not, if it's new, that's even better. But I like that the lower teams get more expenditure so they can invest more. So I like that.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting. Okay, here is a couple of the things that we need to know for the races. DRS activation. So instead of waiting until lap 2 or the second lap after a safety car restart or the start of the race, it's only going to be 1 lap. So after 1 lap, DRS kicks in.
That's exciting.
It is exciting, especially when you think about it from a restart point of view, because sometimes, especially during, Australia, where we had so many restarts, and then like, that's going to be great, especially if it's happening towards the end of the race. You get that DRS in 1 lap instead of 2 laps. So love that. Also with the power unit rules, it's 4 per driver for this year and for next year. So last year they made it 4 instead of 3 because there were so many races and they kind of wanted to make sure the teams, their power units could withstand that many races. but they decided we're going to keep it at 4. They were supposed to go back down to 3 for this year, and they said, nope, we're going to keep it at 4.
Good.
So this year and next year, they each get 4 power units before they start getting penalized.
So. Not that it helped some teams, because we were getting penalties pretty early last year.
Oh, so early last year. So early last year. Okay, moving right along. We made it through the winter. I know it wasn't really that long. The poor drivers are probably like, how are we back already? But the cars are back on track this week.
So excited.
I'm so excited. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, here's what you need to know. There is a morning and an afternoon session. Each driver gets 3 sessions, but how they divide that up depends on the team. Sometimes they'll have one driver will do both the morning and the afternoon session one day. The other driver will do morning and afternoon the next day, and then they'll split on the third day. Sometimes it's like one does the morning, the other does the afternoon, then they alternate the next day. So however they decide to do that, totally up to them. But each driver will get 3 sessions, which is kind of cool. Teams are going to be as sly as they can. They don't want us, or especially their competitors, to know what their car can truly, truly do. But at the same time, they've got to figure some stuff out. So we will never know, just like with practice, what kind of fuel loads they're on, what kind of running they're doing, what are they checking for. They're just going to try to be as sly as they can. But here's what they are focusing on. So reliability, number 1. Can the car handle race distance, but can it also do like a really quick, like quali lap? We want to see, can the car do it all? Want to make sure that there's no mechanical issues, especially like if you're thinking race distance, right? They're going to be analyzing the aerodynamics. So they want to understand the airflow. Is the car performing the same on track as it did in the simulators? So they've been running these cars in the simulators. The drivers have been in there. They want to know, is that translating to the track? So last year, there's dog. So I swear I cannot every
I'm petting my dog because she's whining. We were gone for 2 weeks.
Oh my goodness. And he hardly ever barks anymore. Oh my gosh. You know what? It's not a podcast unless my dogs are making noise at this point. Okay. So last year, and you can go back and listen to that episode from season 1. It's one of the earlier episodes. You are going to see different things on the car that the teams are testing. So aero rakes they look like these giant grids that are attached to the car, right? And then FlowViz, which is
like a piece of chain link fence that they ran through and it stuck to the car.
Yes, exactly. And then FlowViz is a paint that you'll see on the car. And so both of those are to test the aerodynamics. They're getting feedback.
FlowViz is green.
It is. It's like a neon green.
How is the state car going to see FlowViz?
Well, but some of them have pink last year or yellow?
I was going to ask you, didn't I see one different color? Because you're not going to see neon green on the neon green car.
Not so much. Maybe they'll just use aero rakes. But those I think are always cool. And when they come back, like they are testing, how is that airflow flowing around the car? Is it doing what we thought it would do? So I always look for that. I think it's kind of interesting. They're also going to be looking at the
picture of yellow on stage. I'll have to start laying bets if it's going to be pink FlowViz or yellow FlowViz on stage.
Right? Which one? I'm just so excited that they're going to be on track on Wednesday. Okay. They're also going to be checking the tires. So this year Pirelli did not have any new compounds for us. So it's going to be the same tires as last year. Again, we have a whole thing on the tires from last year. Since they haven't changed, you can go listen to that podcast episode or watch that YouTube video where we talk all about the tires.
I find that interesting because they were testing new tires toward a lot last year, especially the degradation in a couple of those races that they're not introducing anything new.
That's what they've said. There's no new compounds this year. So
I was expecting something new this year.
Yeah, maybe they'll bring something new. Maybe like after last year, because remember it was after Australia, they were like, oh crap, we've got to do something different. So I wonder if they'll let it go a few races and then determine if they need to bring something. Who knows? But in regards to the tires, even though there's no new compounds, a lot of these cars have completely changed, which makes this year really, really exciting. I'm super excited. But they need to know how this new car is going to work on those tires. Like, how is the wear going to go? Like, all
That's
of
a good
that.
point.
So they are going to be checking those tires. What else? System and operational checks. They're just going to be making sure that all that stuff is working. I think it was James Vowles had said, we also have some new team members. Team members have been off for a couple months. You know how sometimes you even go on vacation for a long vacation, you come back, you're like, how do I do my job? It's just, it's just like the drivers, the teams have to get back into the groove of things, and then they can check up or check on the optimization. Like, is the setup optimized for this track? Because where they're testing is the first race of the season. So it really gives them a little extra time to make sure like that car is fully optimized for that track. So I think that's kind of cool. So the teams maybe that have gone through their programs and they're like, okay, we're looking good. They could probably just move on and be like, okay, let's focus on the setup for the race. So even though the teams are going to be sneaky as all get out and we're not going to know exactly what's happening, there are some things you can keep an eye on. So lap times, to me, it's like practice, right? Like, we don't know what they're doing. We don't know what their program is that they're running. We don't know what kind of fuel load they're on. So in this case, I would probably focus on one team, one driver. How is that person's lap times changing either throughout the session or from session to session, if that makes sense? Like, are they getting faster? What kind of tires are they running on? That kind of stuff. I would just probably focus on but you can have an idea.
I'd like to see too, and how well they're handling the new car,
Yes.
and the confidence behind the car, right? Because we saw some interesting things at testing last year, and then just to see, I mean, I want to see Checo's confidence. I mean, he was good, and then he fell off, and then he started coming back up, and
yeah.
I just want to see how the cars handle. I want to see how many times Max complains just from the get-go, because he complains about every car, every.
But we need them to complain during testing, because they can make changes during that time period. Like, you might see new things that they like, take this off, put that on. So there will be a lot of complaining.
I would love to, maybe we should track that. What do they complain about? What do they call out each of the drivers to see? Is that something that is a persistent problem throughout the year?
Yeah, we should probably jot that down, because and as teams bring upgrades throughout the year, are they tackling some of those things? Yeah. I would think a lot of that is going to be pretty either coded, like it's in code, or they're going to talk about it in the debrief, because even afterwards, I feel like the drivers are so professional that they're going to get out there and be like, yeah, maybe there's this we have to work on, but they're not going to tell us the whole thing. They're just not going to.
The Jello's a little wobbly, and the
yes. Exactly. Like, I want ice cream after this practice means this car really sucks. I don't know. We'll see. You also want to watch their long runs. I would definitely be keeping an eye on that. Like, is the car consistent? Because race mode, right? Like, long runs are kind of simulating races. So how are the tires doing? Are they having to come in and replace those? Like, what tires are they on? How is it performing on the different tire compounds? All of that stuff. And then the car updates. So again, most of these cars, Alpines, Mercedes, Ferrari, like, they've changed almost their entire car. So how is it comparing to last year? What does it look like?
I'm really interested, even though Haas says the car is not going to be anything, they haven't done much. I still want to know. But really, did they do anything? Are they kind of giving us setting us up to be a crappy year, and then they might come back and do something?
You never know. But the thing with Haas is, like, we really need to watch them on the long runs, because we know last year with qualifying, Nico could pull that sucker up into Q3, somewhat regularly. So for them, it was the long run, because he'd be up towards the front of the grid, and he's going backwards real quick. So
it's interesting. I'm excited. I'm excited too, because now they've got a full year under my belt, not just watching the Drive to Survive. I'm just gonna have a different approach to it now from the very beginning, because I've got more knowledge and whatnot. So I'm very excited.
Yes, I know. And I can't wait. You had mentioned this last week, but especially during these testing days, I cannot wait for Sam Collins and his tech talks. Like, I want to know the nitty gritty of all of this stuff. So yeah, I'll be spending my evenings doing that.
Hey, F1 TV, can we just have a special mic on Sam Collins all the time? Can we just
all the time?
Can we just have a channel just for that? Because that would be amazing in the F1 TV subscription to have like that kind of just mic up Sam Collins and see what he has to say throughout the entire race.
Agreed. I cannot wait for that. And then Friday, we've got Drive to Survive. What's interesting is I don't think Max participated at all. Like they're saying like he's not on any of the promo, sheets or anything. And so somebody had said, well, he won a record number of races. Like, how do you not talk about that? Like, good question. There's so much stuff that happened really besides Max, though. But I don't know.
No.
I did love the series last year. They only focused on a handful of races, and it was
I didn't like the format last year. I'm hoping they went back this year. We'll see.
Yeah, me too. So we've got that Friday. So it's a big week, and then guess what? Then it's race week. It's race week. We just had our last Sunday without a race yesterday. I can't believe it.
Isn't that crazy?
I can't believe it. I cannot wait. So that was a very quick update, but there was a lot to cover there.
There's a lot. And it's probably going to be the shortest well, we already had one a little bit shorter, but one of the shortest podcasts of the season.
Yeah, probably. Then you've got 24 races and testing. So I'm sure next week too, with all the testing, we'll need to break down a whole lot of stuff and prepare for the first race. Yay.
So much. All right. Well, and if what other kind of drama could happen between now and then too.
Well, don't even say it. We've had so much drama. It's only the middle of February. And since we have an extra minute, oh my gosh, the Singapore GP might be in jeopardy. There's a big scandal happening there, and part of it involves the person who kind of was responsible in Singapore for the Singapore Grand Prix, and they're starting to look into it. So
we might have. Do you think they would cancel it this year? So we might have one less this year, or just future?
Maybe. I have no idea. Who knows? They might still keep it. I mean, goodness gracious, at this point, just keep it. But yeah, there's some sort of scandal happening there. So Singapore GP might be off the calendar in the future. We'll see.
I have some craziness. All right. Well, that's it for this short one. Nice little check-in. Nice to see ya.
Nice to see you. Okay, cars are back on track. Let's go.
Let's go. Thanks for the ride. See ya.
Bye.
And a review. To stay up to date with She Loves the Grid and get all the behind-the-scenes content, you can follow us on Instagram at She Loves the Grid and on Facebook at facebook.com/She Loves the Grid. Thank you for joining us for the ride this week.